सुन मन मितरा प्यारया, सुन मन मितरा प्यारया, मिल वेला है, मिल वेला है, सुन मन मितरा प्यारया। जब लग जोबन सांस है, जब लग जोबन सांस है, तब लग ये तन दे, बिन गुण काम नाम ये, बिन गुण काम नाम ये, तै तेरे तन खे, तै तेरे तन खे। सुन मन मितरा प्यारया, मिल वेला है, मेरे मन लैला घर जाए, मेरे मन लैला घर जाए, गुरमुख नाम सलाहिए, हाँ में निवरी भाहे, हाँ में निवरी भाहे। सुन मन मितरा प्यारेया, मिल वेला है, सुन मन मितरा प्यारेया। सुन सुन गंडन गंडिए, लिख पढ़ बूझे भार, तृष्णा अहनिस अगली, हाँ में रोग विकार, ओ वेवर अतुलवा, ओ वे परवाह अतुलवा, गुरमत कीमन सार, गुरमत कीमत सार। सुन मन मितरा प्यारया, लख सियाणप जे करी, लख स्यों प्रीत पै लाभ, लख सियाणप जे करी, लख स्यों प्रीत मिलाभ, बिन संगत साध न द्राविया, बिन नामे दुख संदाव, हर जप जीरे छुटे, हर जप जीरे छुटिए, गुरमुख चीने आप, गुरमुख चीने आप। मन मितरा प्यारेया। तन मन गुर पहवे मन दिया सिर नाल त्रिभवन खोज ढंडोलया। गुरमग खोज निहाल सतगुर मेल मिलाया। सतगुर मेल मिलाया। नानक सो प्रभ नाल सुन मन मितरा प्यारेया। मिल वेला है मिल वेला है सुन मन मितरा सुन मन मितरा प्यारे।
This body form. No other creation on this planet has that luxury. Whether it is the animal world or the birds or the microbes or the plants or any other world, in whichever form they are born on this planet, is the same form they go back. In order to take a jump from a body form to the existence of the Supreme Being, to live like the one who created it all, you need this vehicle. And for that you need to listen to those who have gone ahead of you. Gurmat, intellect, the message, the shabad, the word from those who have achieved to that state. You need to pay attention to that rather than paying attention to what you are thinking yourself. Manmat, that's called manmat. Man means depending on the self. Gurmat means depending on the master who has gone ahead of you. And the last statement of the 16th hymn was, Sache seti ral rahe, sache gun pargas, Nanak naam santokhiya jio pind prabhupas. That was the 16th stanza, which says that you need to develop the capacity, develop the capability to do what? Sache seti ral mile. Merge with the Creator. You need to make effort in that direction. You need to think about it and seek out how you are going to achieve that. And you will discover that it is what? Nanak naam santokhiya. It is that word, it is that shabad, it is that naam which will get you to that stage. And that name associated with who? Jio Pind Prabhupas. The name associated with Prabh, the Prabhu, the Creator, creative energy. So in different words, Gurbani is saying the same thing. You need to do that. Okay, so why so much emphasis on this? What's wrong with the way we are? And Gurbani says there is nothing wrong with the way you are. It's not a condemnation of the body form. It is the use of it that's being questioned. Saying, are you sure you want to use your life body form in the way that you are using now? Because if that is, and hence the next hymn. See the link? Next hymn saying, Okay, I told you that. Why? Is there something wrong with what I am doing now? They say, no, nothing is wrong with it. But have you reviewed, if you continue on the path you are, what is the end result? This is the end result. सुन मन मितरा प्यारेया मिल वेला है एह जब लग जोबन साज है तब लग एह तन देह बिन गुण काम न आवई टै टेरी तन खेह. So literally translated it says, Sun men mitra pyaraya, listen to me, that this is the only chance. Mil vela hai eh, this is the only chance. This body form is the only one which is going to help you to get to that state beyond. Because if you miss it, the end result is bin gun kaam na avai ta teri tan khe. Otherwise, the body eventually will become the part of the dust from which it came. Once that chance is lost, once that energy which is allowing to move the senses, use the senses, enjoy the senses, once that energy is withdrawn from you, it is nothing more than a handful of dust. Jab lag joban saas hai. As long as that energy is, jab lag, as long as, joban means it at its full potential, Javani jinu kehida. As long as it has its potential, what? Saas, the breath, life energy. Tablag ihe tan dehe. It's only up till that time that you can call it a body. Otherwise, it is not a body. It is not the vehicle that you think it is, because if that energy is withdrawn, then what? Bin gun kaam na avai. Without that existing in it, it is useless. What? Why? Ta teri tan khe. It is nothing more than a pile of dust. That's why you are being prompted, that's why you are being reminded that don't miss this chance. Don't lose this opportunity. Don't waste it into the sensual pleasures that you completely forget the other use of the body. Of course, the body allows you to enjoy the sensual pleasures, no question about it. It's not saying you run away from it. It is saying while you are in it, don't forget the prime, because the prime purpose of this body, as compared to the other body forms, is that they will live in the sensual world, and after the senses worlds are gone, they will die just as they were. They have no choice. Whereas you have a choice. You can make that choice consciously now, that while I am living the life of sensual pleasures, enjoying my food, my drink, and my clothes, and my house, and my friends, I am also working on doing what? Sache seti ral mile. To get back to that house, to get back to that state of existence. So, it is for that reason you are being reminded, mere man le laha ghar jahe. Now the laha literally means profit. What is the investment? Well, the investment is of the life breath. If the breath comes and goes and comes and goes, and it is not possible to elevate yourself anywhere higher than where you are at, then what's happening? You are losing your even principal, much less the interest, much less any profit. Since you have this investment, Kabir ji says, Pap pun dohe bail besaye, pavan punji paragaseo. This is the Creator gave the ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਰਾਸ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਇਨਵੈਸਟਮੈਂਟ the principle. What? Pavan Punji. ऐसा नायक खसम हमारा सगल संसार कियो वनजारा. You see, look at the drama. The whole of the world has come to do a business here. And what is the business? He says, Paap pun doye bail baisa hai. Positive and negative. And then gave the investment initial principle of the breath. So what is doing? He said, well, he is investing some breath in positive and some breath in negative. That's it. That's a total way of using the business, doing the business, some breath in positive, some breath in negative. So then what's going on? So he says, when the life breath was taken away, कहत कबीर सुनो रे संतो अब ऐसी बन आई घाटी चढ़त बैल एक था का चलो गोन छटकाई. This is what happens, that when the reverse journey starts, the negative energy, that bell, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਦੋਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਖਿੱਚ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ, that bull says, I can't go that direction. He drops. And the single bull cannot pull the whole weight. Weight of what? All of the desires. Trishna shan dhari daru. So Kabir says, then what do you have to do? So you have to then drop all the desires. Chalo gon gathdi. All the desires have to be dropped before you can move forward. The same way is being asked here, what kind of investment you are making. If you are not making a profit, which is that when you are going in that direction, you have already won the game and you are not to come back again into the same dimension again. Mere man le laha ghar jaye. Your original home. This is not the ghar. This is the sarai. See, that's the difference with for our terminology and Gurbani terminology is completely different. There was a Sufi fakir walking by and he stopped in front of the door of a king, and the servant who was guarding the door, he asked him, I want to spend a night in this hotel, motel, sarai. And he says, are you crazy? This is the palace of the king. He said, no, it isn't. And I want to spend the night here. And he's not letting go, and slowly people are gathering, the noise level goes up, the king hears that, he comes out. So what's the matter? What's going on here? So he's kind of calling this a hotel. So he says, this is my home. Very respectfully. What do you need? He says, no, I came here a few years ago. I didn't meet you. He said, you must have met my father. So where is he now? Well, he died and now I am. Aha. And what will happen with this when you die? I have my son, I'll pass on to him. He says, then what is a hotel? The people come and stay for a while, then go away. Isn't that what a hotel is supposed to be? If it is yours, then you should not have to lose it ever. We call it a ghar, home, a house. Gurbani says, no. This is just a temporary stay. The real ghar is back there. So, when you are returning there, consider this as that you have come on a vacation. Enjoy yourself. Live, eventually you're going to come back. You have to come home. But when you're returning back, are you returning with a profit or a loss? He says, I suggest to you, mere man la laha ghar jaye. Going back, take some profit with you. And what is the profit? Here's the profit. Gurumukh naam salahiye. Listen to the master, Guru. The word that is coming out of his mouth. Take that word. Take that naam. And do what with it? It says salahiye. Repeat it. Say it again and again. What would happen with it? Say, haume nivri bha. That which is actually causing the whole problem, that which has lit a very sweet fire inside you. What is that? That's your ego. Ego's fire is very warm and sweet. That's why when somebody says to us, oh, you're so great, we feel good. Right? Because there is a little warmth we feel. And if somebody throws the water on it, you know good. And we hurt. The same fire goes down. Farid says, Kichna bijhe, kichna sujje, dunya gujji pa. Gujji, secret, hidden. What's a hidden fire? Those of you who do the barbecue on the briskets, they probably can relate with it. When you light up the brisket, slowly, there is a ash visible on it. So when you look from the outside, all you see is a ash. But if you blow the ash out, it is still equally warm. In the villages, they used to put the milk on the cow dung cakes, pathiyan. And when you light that cake, from after the first brush of it, then all you see is ash. But it warms up the milk all day. It cooks it. So it's a guji, hidden. Agni, fire. Bha, fire. How do we know that we all have that? Well, sit down with anyone. The very first question you will say, how are you? Say, I'm very great. Thank you. Oh, are you really? And you sit down and start talking. And now the slowly fire is going to start coming out. I was very unlucky. My childhood was bad, and then on top of that, I got a bad husband, and then on top of that, I got a bad neighbor, and on that of that, children have gone wrong too, and on that of that, money is not there enough for me. On and on and on. There is not a single person on this planet who can raise a hand and say, I have absolutely no problem. I have no complaint, nothing to change in my life from the day one to today. Everyone has a little fire burning inside. That's Gujibha. On the surface, it looks good. And we lie out of our teeth, everything is fine. Thank you very much. And the interesting thing is that if you say, no, I am not good, I want to tell you how I feel, then you say, well, hey, he's always crying. I don't want to talk to him. The one who asked, how are you, has no interest in knowing how are you. One who's telling how am I has no interest in telling the truth. Such is the life. And the Brahmgyani The master calls it a hidden fire. In everyone, a secret fire going on. Why? Because of the ego. Ego feels the pleasure, ego feels the pain. He says, how do you control that? He said, those who have controlled it, they will tell you that they listened to the master and they took that word and they repeated that word and stayed busy, attached with that word in the memory of the word, so the rest of the things became totally irrelevant. Significance is lost. If somebody comes to you and wants to relate you how unhappy that person is, and you are sitting there saying, Om, 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 what do you think he's going to do? Either he's going to sit down with you and do Om, Om, or he's going to go away. So what happened? All of a sudden, that which was so important or was going to make both of you miserable became irrelevant. A single word negated did not allow the fire to light up further. Now, well, that doesn't sound very compassionate, does it? The poor guy came to talk to me and I didn't even give him 5 minutes to listen to his story. Gurbani says that story is not new. It is with everyone. It is with you as well. So what is the idea of repeating the same thing that everybody is feeling? We already know that. That fire is in everyone. So why not to acknowledge right in the beginning and cut out all of the noise level around it? Why keep on processing, reprocessing the same set of emotions, same sets of pains and pleasures again and again and again, when every human on this earth has gone through them and will continue going through them unless they listen to Gurmukh. Gurmukh naam salahiye, not Manmukh. That's a distinction. You have to be very careful. Gurbani hammers that thought again and again. And by the way, this word was actually misused and abused by all of those who were interested in making their organizations, because they translate as a Gurmukh mean, I am the Guru, so listen to me. It's the one I am saying it, so institutions established. No, Gurmukh means the Brahmgyani, the one who has achieved, has gone there already. Not somebody who can teach and talk. Not someone like me. You have to get the word from the one who has already arrived. Gurmukh naam salahiye, haume nivri bhai. If you get onto that, then nivri means it will cut it. It will eliminate it. What? Bhai, that fire that's inside. But that's not what is happening. So what is happening? Instead, sun sun gandan gandiye likh pad bujhe par. By listening to others, by reading something, we develop certain theses and certain models. And then we sit down and intellectually argue. Sun sun gandan gandiye. Gandan gandiye means we make a story. एक गंड बांध लेने, right? We hear a little bit from there, a little bit from there, a little bit there, and we put it together into a certain model. And then what we do with the model? Likh pad bujhe. And then we read some books and we develop what? Bujhe. We find the secret to something. We solve a puzzle and then we go around the world declaring. That's what starts the organizations. That's what creates institutions. Likh pad bujhe bhar, trishna ahnis agli haume rog vikar, over vapor vah atolva gurmat keemat sar. So what would that method do? Which one? By just discussing and talking and listening, we make a model. By reading, we develop a model and we discuss and we talk about it and we argue and we fight and we try to prove each other wrong. What will that do? It's a trishna ahnis ugly. That only increase the desires, trishna. That increase, that put a fuel to the fire. To what? Haume rog vikar. That basically is actually enhancing the ego further, because I can talk better, I can argue better, my model is better than yours, and no, yours is better than his, and his is better than his. All that is going on is doing what? It's feeding the ego. Something that was needed to be managed, we have taken the path to actually feed it, stroke the ego more and more. Who's better? Whose model is better? Which religion is better? Whose master is better? If there is a master, there is no question of better or worse. If a master has a concept of better and worse, then that's not a master. For the master, there is no disciple, there is no master. Why? Because those are both the subjects of the ego. And Gurbani says, listen, all of these things are waste of time. Why? You say, O ve parvaha atolva. The subject that you are talking about is beyond all measures. Atolva. Tolya nahi ja sakta. It is impossible. You can get into that intellectualizations and you can make all the stories and examples and try to prove yourself better than the next one. It's all useless, because the subject you have chosen is beyond the words, beyond the act. O ve parvaha atolva gurmat keemat sar. Those who have gone ahead of you, they have actually done that, a secret nachod kad liya. This is the essence. Keemat sar. This is the essence of their whole journey, that this is something beyond intellect, beyond discussions, beyond arguments, beyond any language. So, don't fall into that trap. Don't go there. Why? Lakh syanap je kari, lakh syon preet milap. You can become as smart and as wise as you want to. You can read as many books and you can collect as many degrees as you want to. Lakh syanap je kari. Lakh doesn't mean 100,000. Lakh means as much as you want to. It's not a literal number. Syanap means wisdom, intellect. You can sharpen your intellect as much as you want. And laksyon preet milap. And you can develop as many followers and disciples as you want. Because they love your intellect, they love your arguments. It says that is absolutely waste of time. Why? Bin sangat sadh nadhrapiya. Without meeting your inner sangat sadh. Sadh means the one who has gone ahead of you. Sangat means to be within yourself, not outside. And that was also misinterpreted. कि जी साधु जी आए जो चलो को ना को बैठिए कड़ी. Your sadhu is inside you. The outer sadhu will not do anything for you. Other than, if he's a real sadhu, he will say, you also go do something. Birisangat sadhana trapiya. Trapiya means that you would never find the satisfaction. You will never ever be at peace. Without what? Benaname. Without that word, without the practice, without the meditation, without the investment of time and energy into this, what will happen? Dukh santap. You will stay in the life of positive and a negative. There is no other way to get out of it. So, what should be done? Say, har jap jiye re chutti hai. If you want to get out of this bondage, if you want to get out of this up and down, then har jap. Get on it. Start doing it. Start the jap. Start the chanting. Start the meditation. Gurmukh chine aap. Chine means to recognize, pehchan. Eventually you will recognize the benefit of it with His grace. So get going on that. And here is how you do it. Tan man gur pe vecheya. Now this, if it's literally translated, it sounds funny that you sell yourself. Now that's not what's being said. Tan man gur pe vecheya means surrendering. Surrendering of what? Mind-body system. Tan, body. Man, intellect. Gur pe vecheya. Surrender both of them. How? Now this is the second half is even more important than the first half. It says, Man diya sir naal. And that's a very important thing to understand. It is not just okay to say, well, all right, fine, I suspend my arguments. No, you have to have the conviction with it. Because you can get smart with that also. Isn't it? अजी अंदर का किसने देखा है, आप बाहर से तो ठीक हो ना. That's a very common thing. Nobody has seen from inside, and you cannot know anybody's inside. So at least be good on the outside. So what we have done is we have just forgotten about the inside completely. So we do that with our master also, with our guru also, with our Lord also. Somebody asked me, okay, yeah, in India the people sukhna sukh there. There was a child born in that, son born in that family, and so one of the ladies said, I had already done this. I don't know what the English translation of sukhna sukhne would be. To make a wish. But wish usually is not associated with, if this happens, I will do this. Sukhna means, meri ye wish puri kar de, I will do that. It is literally a business transaction. मेरे घर लड़का हो जाए तो मैं माता दया करांगा, या अखंड पाठ चढ़ावांगा, या कब्र दे और दीवा जला के आऊंगा. Those kind of things. So he asked me, he said, well, one of the ladies of the house is saying that she had done the sukhna, so what should we do now? Why? What's the problem? He said, well, वो काम तो पूरा हो गया. No, would not be cheating if we don't. So I said, look, isn't it a 50-50 thing? Either it is done or it's not done. So what would you have done if it was not done? Then you would not have gone there, right? नहीं, फिर तो ख्याल भी नहीं सी आना. Okay. So now you feel that you bribed the God and He has now obliged you, so you better. He started laughing. Say, isn't it a bribe to somebody? Here is first a promise to you, I will do this, you do that for me. The mind is so smart that it creates those of type of transactions even with the Lord. That's why Bulle Shah said that. ਉਹ ਦੁਨੀਆਦਾਰਾ ਰੱਬ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ 420 ਤੈਅ ਕੀਤੀ. And Gurbani says you have to be careful about this. Surrendering does not mean that you are acting out the surrender. Because to you, whoever you are surrendering to, that entity knows whether it is a surrender or a acting. You will not be able to act and get away with it. Impossible. Not going to happen. So, if you say, well, I am surrendering but nothing is happening, then that is actually a sign to you that you are saying I am surrendering but you really haven't. Don't blame the other. Well, he is not accepting it, he is mad with me. My neighbor is okay, but I am not. So he is partial. No, he is not partial. He cannot be partial. He doesn't know how to be partial. You are just as important creation as your neighbor is. If the neighbor is accepted and you are not, it only means that the neighbor is surrendering in the true sense and you are just still acting. So you got to turn inside and see what I am trying to save. And we always save. Why we save? Because a part of us says, well, what if this was not right? If I give it away completely. I remember a story when I came to this country. New York City had just announced the first lottery. And they published that the $1 million lottery, the chances of winning are 1 to 57,600. A newly married couple started adding all of their assets, bank balance or whatever they owed, and say, if we sell everything, they made the estimated turned out to be exact 57,600. That day they sold everything and bought 57,600 lottery tickets and rented a hotel room because there was no place to stay, and spent all night rubbing the winning ticket. And guess what happened?
You didn't get anything.
They won.
Oh, really?
The power of surrendering. Everything. Didn't even save $1. And the idea was, we are both young, both newly married, we are together, we are in love. If we lose all of that, we can build it again. But if this is what they are saying, that out of the 57,600 tickets, there is one ticket which is a winner one, then we are going to buy 57,600 tickets. No question asked.
How much did they win?
$1 million.
No.
57,000 to 1 million paisa.
20.
And when somebody told me the story, I said, that makes perfect sense to me. My guru has been saying that to me from the day I was born. I just haven't done it so. I give 10%, I save 90%. And then I say, but daswanda de deta tanu hor ki diya. I given you 10%, isn't it? Every religion says give 10%. Actually, what they are trying to tell you is, keep 90%. That's the only reason you are giving it. Because in order to give 10, you have to have $1 first. I got $1, I give you 10 cents. And they are smart, they understand your psychology, and you are smart, you understand what they are doing. And you say, hey, I did my job, I gave you 10%. And Gurbani says you have to be careful. That formula will not, it will work in this world, in this dimension, that formula will not work in that dimension. So what you have to do? Tan man gur pe vechiya, but second part, man diya sir naal. When you have given the intellect, when you have surrendered your intellect, it is from within. It is not from outside. You are not saving anything for yourself. If that surrendering is not complete, it won't work. त्रे भवन खोज डंढोलिया गुरमुख खोज निहाल सतगुर मेल मिलाया नानक सो प्रभ नाल. त्रे bhavan, 3 levels of existence. Bhavan means place of living. Tre means 3. And we talked about last time what those 3 levels are. Physical, intellectual, spiritual. Physical, non-physical, and one that's beyond all. That's a more accurate explanation. Physical, non-physical, and then the third stage, beyond both. That's Tre Bhavan. You will be able to actually discover that stage. Tre Bhavan Khoj Dandholeya. You will be able to discover that how Gurmukh Khoj Neha. If you stay with the word that has come from your master, Satgur Mel Minaya Nanak So Prabhanal. That milna, that union is not with the outer world, it is with who? It is with the Prabhanal, with the Creator. And that's what your objective of this whole body form is. So, how would you get started on it? Well, the next hymn answers that question. मरने की चिंता नहीं, जीवन के नहीं आस. मरने की चिंता नहीं, जीवन के नहीं आस. तू सर्व जियां प्रेत पाल है, तू सर्व जियां प्रेत पाल है. लेखे सास गिरास, अंतर गुरमुख तू असे, अंतर गुरमुख तू असे. जो भावे त्यों निर्जास, मरने की चिंता नहीं. जिया रे राम रमत जप मान, अंतर लागी जल बुझी. पाया गुरमुख ज्ञान, मरने की चिंता नहीं. अंतर के गत जानिए, गुर मिलिए संक उतार. मोया जित घर जाइए, चित जीवन दया मरमार. अनहद शब्द सुहावने, अनहद शब्द सुहावने. पाये गुर विजार, अनहद बाणी पाइए ते हो में हो विनाश. सतगुर सेवे अपना, हाँ सत कुर्बाने दास. खड़ दरगे पैनाइए, मुख हर नाम निवास, जय दिखत रब रहे शिव शक्ति का मेल, त्रैगुण बंदी देहोरी, जो आया जग सो खेल, वो जोगे दुख वेछड़े, मन मुख लहे ना मेल, मन बैरागी घर वसे, सच भैराता हो, ज्ञान महारस भोगवे, बाहर भुख ना हो, नानक मन मार मिल, भी फिर दुख न हो, मरने की चिंता नहीं, जीवन के सद आस, मरने की चिंता नहीं। That is the step, the first step on that path. What? मरने की चिंता नहीं, जीवन की नहीं आस. Now this is a very, very difficult thing to swallow, because we have traditionally said hope sustains the life. जीवे आशा मरे निराशा. And Gurbani says, wait a minute. That's a wrong model for life. You are neither niras nor as. You need to transcend both. Why? This is because you are here on a temporary mission. This is not your permanent place. You try to tie the asa with the permanent. Nirasa comes in from the impermanence. And the reality is you are neither impermanent. Why? Because only body drops, nothing else drops. Nor permanent. Why? Because body mind cannot stay together here. So, you are neither permanent nor impermanent. It depends what the outlook is. So, what you do? He says, draw both. मरने की चिंता नहीं, जीवन की नहीं आस. The problem comes when you start tying yourself with one dimension or the other. Yeah.
Didn't you just say we are here on a temporary basis?
Yeah. That's exactly what it's repeating. How do you actually say we are on a temporary basis? How many things you take when you go on vacation with you?
Just few.
Isn't it? Why is that? Well, I'm spending only a day or a month or a week. If you want to know how much you really have collected, I give you a way of finding out. Rent your home and try to move somewhere else. Just rent your home for 1 month and take everything that you have in your home and then look at everything that you have gathered and then ask yourself, when did I use this? For what purpose did I get it? And why have been I saving it and storing it? For what purpose? A simple test. If you look at the life of Janwasi Vanjare Kane, have you ever seen those families? Gypsies? Have you ever seen them? Now, don't they live and raise their children and do everything that we do? Now, how much stuff they carry around? Have you ever seen it? Now, are we willing to live like even a gypsy, much less a saint? This is where the Asha and the Nirasha. I am giving you the roots of the things as Gurbani is telling us. Where did this come from? Because we have forgotten both. A part of us says we are permanent. As a matter of fact, the desire to live here forever and ever is so paramount. And death is so scary, something that not to be talked about, not to be looked at, not to be discussed. Don't even remind me that I am supposed to go. Like a child who's playing on the beach and at the middle of the day the mother says, let's go home, and say, Mom, there's still sunlight, let me play for a few more hours. The home is irrelevant. I'm just having too much fun. Let me stay here a little bit more. And this is a very difficult thing. I mean, sometimes I get into so much trouble. I went to India, my oldest brother, and he had some knee problems, close to 80, 85. And he wanted me to take him to the hospital and get him artificial knees. And I said, Bhai Sahib, what are you going to do with this? He said, well, so that I can walk around and see the world around. I said, why don't you sit and just meditate? That's, You see, if you don't want to give me the money, it only costs $35,000. Then say so. What is this nonsense that, sit down and write? Bhakti karo ji.
He was right.
And he was, I'm going to see my grandchild getting married. He said, so, what will happen then? So he asked me, where you been? What's wrong with you? How stupid questions you're asking. Then, don't you want to see your grandchild? I said, no. So he tells my bhabhi, he said, get him away from me, otherwise I'll slap him. He's talking gibberish. And I was roaming around, after about a week I came back and he had fallen sick. And then he called me, he says, well, if you're such a saint, pray for me. I said, pray for what? So that I live longer. So do you want to live in this body? Kabir says, Kabir beda jarjara uttar paryo chabhak. He says, when you know that the boat has sprung a leak, don't you want to jump off it completely? Kabir beda jarjara. Chek ho gaye. Uttar paryo, jump off. Chabhak, right away. So, look at, prepare, be ready. You have to go there. Why are you fighting it? Accept the inevitability. At the age of 85, he wasn't willing. And I came back. After 6 months, he passed away. And till his last minute, he was talking to every doctor. Don't you have an injection? What's the matter with you? Because my family has quite a few doctors within the family. And they wrote to me that your brother went really fighting for life. He was a fighter. I said, yeah, of course. This is not a unique story. It is being repeated so many times, so many places, so often. And Gurbani says, wait. What has happened to you? Don't you remember that this is not your permanent place? Did anybody give you a guarantee that you will live 80, 100 years? Did anybody write you a license and say, I won't call you back sooner? Then why do you sit down amongst yourself and say, Aji, ghadi ka to pata nahi. Who knows what's going to happen next one? Why you lie then? On one hand, you say, ghadi da to pata nahi, and then say, well, let's make 5-year plan. ये घड़ी का पता नहीं तो 5-year plan का मतलब की है? Be sincere. One way, be sincere. If not this way, then at least that way. Then I say, I guarantee I'm not going to die for the next 5 years. So these are the things I'm going to accomplish in the next 5 years. At least have that conviction, that courage. But if you can't say that, then accept the fact that you are neither permanent nor impermanent, and there is no need to tie the asha with one and nirasha with the other. Transcend both. Drop both. They are meaningless. They are only painful concepts. It gives you nothing but misery. When you put asha with it, it usually doesn't come true and you feel pain. And nirasha by definition is pain. More nirasha, more depressive you go, more painful it will be. And he says, why I am telling you this? Marne ki chinta nahi, jeevan ki nahi aas. That's your step. Why? This is understand that is actually controlled by him. The sarb jiyan pratapal hi lekhe saas giras. Acknowledge the fact that that's not known to you. Recognize the fact that you have no control over coming and going. Develop the belief, develop the faith that it is controlled by that ultimate creator. And he can take it away right now. And you will have no vote in that. He will not ask you, are you okay with it? You will be just told. Those who deal with the people in the critical care, you ask them and they will tell you that when that moment comes, the very first energy that goes away from the human is the voice. The eyes may be open, the heart may be pumping, the brain may be working, but the throat has been taken. And he cannot say no matter how much you try it, that's it. Why is that? Because the very first energy that was given to you was the voice. Wasn't it? As soon as you are born, what happened?
Cry.
First cry. The sound is what connects you with the outer world. That's why the one who cannot speak has the most miserable life. Because developing connection becomes difficult. Can't relate with anybody. Can only relate with those who have the sign language was developed much later on. So the sound is taken away from you immediately. So that you cannot tell anything that I am ready to go, so take care of these things. So it says, when you know that it is within his control, tu sarb jiyan pratapalahi. He is the one who controls this, not just one. Sarb jiyan, no exception. Male, female, black, white is not an issue. Country is not an issue. Nationality is not an issue. It's the totality of creation. And then what is the thing that is actually accountable? Lekhe saas giraj. The coming in of the breath, going of the breath, that is the thing that's accounting. So the question is how you are spending it. Are you spending in a pap punudoe bal besaye pavan punji pragasyo? Are you spending some breaths in positive and some in negative and nothing in meditation? If that's the case, then what in the last stanza told that the body is nothing more than a handful of dust. If you stay with that model, so to take that step, start with that belief system. He controls what? Marne ki chinta nahi. Jeevan ki nahi aas. Marna te jeevna. Life and death are both under his control. And you do not know the timetable for anyone. You will not be given that secret. Now, why is that? Think about it. Why is that secret not given to the human? Assume for a minute that you are all here, my well-wishers. And one of you know that if, as soon as I step into the car, I get on the freeway, I'm going to meet an accident and I'm going to die. If that information is given to even one of you, what would be your reaction?
Don't let you go would stop you.
Exactly. You would interfere. You would try to change the destiny. You cannot deal with the fact that my time has come. It is for that reason humans are never given the information. Because they cannot deal with it. They would want to change everything upside down. They don't know nothing. They are purely earning their living on the mathematics of probability. And those of you who have read statistical models and those bell curves and the deviations and how much population fall under that bell curve and how to cover that area, those charts that they study, that's what it is. Is this event within this bell curve or not? If it's within the bell curve, they'll tell you it's okay, go ahead. If it's not within the bell curve, they'll tell you it's not. And the probability of happening depends on where in the bell curve that particular event is. So they are making money out of that. So nobody knows. Nobody can know. Nobody will know. But the point is that it doesn't happen. It is just a belief they are projecting. Event is not moving left or right. It isn't. It is how they project. It's how they package it and sell it. And there are plenty of people who buy it. And those who don't buy it, they don't need them. They say, hey, go, you are not a customer for us. Gurbani says, understand that the secret is only with him. So, what would you want to do? Antar gurmukh tu vase jyon pave tyon nirjas. It is his will. Nirjas mean palana. He is the one who is actually responsible for taking care of everybody. So you start with this simple model. Which one? Marne ki chinta nahi, jeevan ki nahi aas. Start with that model. You wanted to say something? No. Only a meditator knows. Depending upon your evolution, if you get to the highest state, you will be given that information about 6 months in advance. Six months. There are stages that allow about 6 months worth of advance notice. But they don't advertise it. It's very simple. If you pay attention to your prana, okay, if you are doing the pranayama meditation, you will breathe in and breathe out and stay focused on the prana. In the shaft, as the air is going, is cylindrical shaft. In the center of that shaft is the life energy. So, when you develop the capacity to see that life energy going in you, you know when the energy is actually the vitalizing energy. Prior to the death, you will find that the cycle has reversed. That when you breathe out, prana energy is only going out, not coming in. And slowly the body starts degrading. But you need to get to the stage where you can watch your own breath going in and recognize the energy shaft in the center. Takes a long time to develop that level of sensitivity where you can see your own air going inside.
Even a highly evolved person will still be afraid when they see that.
No.
No?
They have already died the even more difficult death. They have died while they were living. The death of the ego is more painful than the death of the body. That's the last stage, the final surrendering. Thy will be done. That moment is more painful than the body actually dropping. So they have already died. That's why it is called born again. Christianity has completely misunderstood it. They say if you have come back to the church, you are born again. Get baptized again, so you are born again.
Because ego is still there. Born again.
For a Brahmgyani, when the ego dies, it's a new entity completely. There's no ego. But this ritual that the Catholics are doing today, they are misinterpreting that, is what I'm saying. They are just saying, come back and do their confession and you're okay. But that's fine. This is a model. We are not to. We are talking of the spirituality.
What is the state of mind when the ego is dropped?
There is no mind. It's a state of no mind, no thought, no dreams, just the creation as is. Your true self. Remember, I was saying, if somebody was to ask you, who are you really? What would you say? It's true of all of us. With our wife, husbands, we are different. With our friends, we are different. With our boss, we are different. With our neighbors, we are different. With our children, we are different. Then who the real one is? Who really I am? Do I myself know? Because if I try to tell you, I will explain another way, and if I try to tell my wife, I will explain another way. So who's the real one? All persona drops. All identities drop. It's a state of no mind. The true creation. And Brahmgyani can see through you as well. Just he can see. That's why a Brahmgyani goes straight and doesn't stop at the skin. Says, same God in you. Because can see the true self, which is what the state is. And that's what the state being described here, and say, that's where you want to get to. Antar gurmukh tu vase jyon bhave tyon nirjas jiye Ram japat manman. Now that's a very important statement. Ram japat. Take that word and start meditating till one, man. Jad tak aadat na paida, man na ho jaye. You should go on an autopilot. Just as you drive now, and it doesn't matter when you are learning, it's a herky jerky all over the place. And now, how many things you can do? You can read, and you can apply lipsticks, and you can cut your nails, and all those things I see on the freeway. Right? The scariest experience is when a girl is actually trying to make the eyeliners, because the eye has to rise above the mirror, and they do that driving. Scary.
On the red light along the driveway.
I have seen it. I literally got off and stopped, went into the nearby parking lot and जाने दो इसको. And looking at the maps.
But the point is, I'm not saying that while you are meditating you do all those things. Gurbani is saying that you need to get going. Jire Ram Japat until man मान. मन को आदत पड़ जाइए. Means what? I mean, not like you sit down for 5 minutes and then the rest of and then you forget. It's almost like putting the water on the part on the stove for 5 minutes and warming up and putting it down, warming it up, putting it down, then wondering why the hell it's not boiling. You need to leave it there till it reaches the right temperature. And Gurbani is saying that's the same thing with the mind. You need to break its cycle, change its model, change its habit pattern, so that it now gets into the habit of that. And when it does, what will happen? Antar lagi jal bujhi paya gurmukh gyan. Then the inner fire, that little sweet jalan that you have, warmth, it will drop, and you will then be able to see what Guru has been talking about. Gurmukh Gyan. What the Brahmgyani, what your master has been saying, you will be able to see it then. Antar ki gat janiye, gur miliye shank utar.
That inner fire, distinguish that from the Agni? They're not the same.
The same. The inner fire, what it's talking about the ego.
And the Agni,
There are two types of the Agni. When they use the Agni within a human body, they use a two sense. There is a Agni which is actually causing the digestive system to work. You put the food, so the chemical reactions, they create heat. That's a different Agni. But the tension in the mind-body system due to the fear or due to the greed or due to the that's a different Agni. So this is talking of the Agni that's created because of the fear or because of the greed. Yeah, that's because of the desires, vasanama. अंतर लागी जल बुझी पाया गुरमुख ज्ञान अंतर की गत जानिए गुर मिलिए शंख उतार. He says now here is a requirement, which is what? Gurmukh miliye sank utar. Sank means the doubt. In other words, you can say it's Shraddha, the belief system. If you are going to your master, then come to the master with a belief, with the faith. Don't come to it with a doubt already. That's the difference between meeting a master versus meeting a teacher. Meet the teacher with the doubt, otherwise you will not get the gyan. To the teacher you ask the question because you want to really get the information. To the master, you want to go to get the technique. And you cannot comment on the technique because that isn't yours. You don't know anything about the technique. Only master knows. You have not even tried it. You have no idea. To the teacher you can argue. With the master you can't. You have to have the full faith.
Yeah, but questions are asked not to argue but to get knowledge. Clarity.
But for the Brahmgyani there is no issue of knowledge. Knowledge is contraindicated.
No, I'm talking about, say, he's the master and he's speaking. Okay, but if I don't understand something, I would ask.
That's a problem. Because the reason you don't understand because you are analyzing what's being said. You need to suspend that mind. You need to accept what the master has said. That's a primary condition.
Right. And what I meant is, see, some words are not clear, or the way it is expressed is not clear.
Why?
So you want to hear the same thing expressed in different words for clarity purpose. So we do ask questions, not because we are doubting what is said, because it's not clear. Because I do have a few questions for you.
No,
See?
but I'm not a master, so you can ask me.
I know. But you know.
But Asha, I'm trying to tell you something. See that. When you say something is not clear, isn't the implied that the intellect was analyzing as you were saying it?
I'm trying to understand.
With what? With the use of intellect.
But humans have intellect. We have.
And that is a barrier in the way of talking to a master.
As long as we are alive and breathing, we are going to.
As long as you're alive and breathing and you want to question, you are not capable of going to the master.
I think Buddha says before he starts the lecture, everybody should empty their mind.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not going to
It's not going to. You have to empty the mind. You have to suspend what you know, what you have heard, what you have read, what your belief system is. You have to suspend. While the master is speaking, let the words go straight to the heart, not to the brain.
Master will have to wait for me a long time.
To the teacher, yes. I said that earlier. To teacher, yes. Not to the master. Because teacher is interested in the knowledge, master is interested in the wisdom. Teacher has the knowledge, master has the knowing. He is trying to pass on the knowing to you, not the knowledge. And knowing and knowledge are day and night apart. And that's what Gurbani is saying. That's your requirement. One of the major reasons Sikhism has lagged behind so much is that they went to the master with the knowledge. Started looking at it grammatically, scientifically, arguing philosophically, and started breaking the words apart, and the real message got lost. Whereas the Guru has said, no, Shabad is your Guru, just get it and be done with it. Shabad Guru. And Sikhs didn't understand it. They turned the whole thing into a philosophy. So the spirituality disappeared. And Gurbani is saying, Antar ki gat janiye gur miliye sank utar. Shanka utar. Leave it alone. Only then you will know what Guru knows from inside. Antar ki gat. Intellect cannot know the inside. Intellect can only know the outside. And what will happen then? The question that you were asking earlier, the answer comes. It says, Moya jit kar jaiye tit jeev deya mar mar. Where you are going to go after the death, you need to learn to die here. Means what? The real death of that identity, that I, that ego. जित मरने ते जग डरे मेरे मन आनंद मरने ही ते पाइये पूर्ण परम आनंद. And we thought Kabir is saying, well, when we go over there, we will meet our Creator. No, he is saying the people are afraid of dying. Means what? Think about it.
Losing identity.
Go to a country where you don't know their language and nobody knows you. What would be your first attempt? Look for somebody who you can talk to. Isn't it? If you are nobody in a crowd of even 5, or 1,000, what does that mean? Do you really exist? You only exist with respect to somebody else. And if that somebody else cannot acknowledge your existence, do you exist? What a scary thought. And that's what a saint is. That's why living by himself or herself in a simple, humble hut all life, he has no reason to throw a party and invite few people and have a drink. Why is that? Because he has no need to identify the self, because self doesn't exist. So what's the use of the others around you? You say, I just close my door and sit myself, that's it. And we think that's a crazy. That's why is a solitary confinement a punishment? To a saint, that will be a gift.
I will die next day.
Isn't it? The worst punishment to any human being is to lock them up in a 4x4 room with a party and a bed and feed that person twice in 24 hours. That's it. Why is that? Because ego refuses to die. Now, if this person is a meditator, he would be absolutely, constantly trying to stay in solitary. If you go to India and find the meditators, what's happening to them? Around their mandir or their hut, there are people who take care of, isn't it? And they are by themselves inside. Let the infrastructure take care of their need. I remember a biography of a scientist who made that observation, that the very first thing that he was curious as to how come India can produce so many meditators and West cannot. The first thing he said I observed was that the people are absolutely dying to support and serve anybody who is willing to meditate. Whole of the village is ready to feed, give the clothes and etc. Not only that, there are people sitting all around the hut and trying to make sure that there is no animal or bird coming. And if the children are playing, making noise, they shoo them away. Baba ji andar baithe.
Why do they do that?
Good question. And it says that Indians have an undying curiosity for someone to bring the news from the beyond. They are hoping that this particular soul will be able to get to that state, see, and then come back and tell them what is there. So they can satisfy all their curiosity. They can answer all those questions. What happens after death and who's there and what's God like and what's a heaven and what's a hell, on and on and on. And so they have undying absolute curiosity. And the society is willing, and it says unfortunately, India gave birth to more parasites and few saints. Because those parasites may now take advantage of that. I mean, they are sitting in their own closed door, whether they are sleeping and enjoying or resting, who cares? The outside people are sitting, he's sitting in meditation, and if somebody knocks the door, he just makes the pose and some Santji and Samadhi. Let's not disturb him. And the game goes on. Dying while you are living. The key to a meditator's goal. Moya jit kar jaiye, tit jeevdeyan mar mar. That's the objective. And if you have died already here, then the body's dropping will be totally irrelevant to you. It will become useless. It's there, use it. You wouldn't have no attachment with it. Anhad shabd suhavane paiye gur vichar. That's when the soundless sound will be heard. Anhad bani paiye teh home hoye binas Satgur seve apna sad kurbane tas khad darge pehnaye mukh har naam nivas. You hear that word, the soundless sound, when the ego is completely gone. Home hoye binas. When the ego is completely gone, then you hear that sound. And those who are on that path, Satgur seve apna, those who have accepted the word from the master and actually used it for their purpose, how sad kurbane tas. How did they do that? They surrendered their how, ego, to that completely. They are the one who khad darge pehnaye. They are the one who in the other dimension are then welcomed. Pehnaye means adar man satkar hona. Jai dekha teh rav rahe Shiv Shakti ka mel. And Guru says, but that's not what is happening. See, how beautifully both sides are given along with. He says, this is really what is happening. What? Jai dekha te rav rahe Shiv Shakti ka mel. Wherever we see, actually, it is just Shiv, the energy, the creator, Shakti, the human body, the primal body, energy in the human body is playing around in what? Traguna Bandi Dehri. It is in that Rajo, Tamo, Sato, Guna, and the body is just playing around in that. Aya, Jag, So, Khel. Everybody, those who are here, Aya, jo bhi aaye ne, they are lost in that game. Jag, So, Khel. Khel means the play, the drama. Everybody is lost in that. Vijogi dukh vichde, man mukh lahe na mel. They are separated from that ultimate creator and they have no chance of ever meeting it back while playing that game. They have to get out of that. And to get out of that, the final line says, Man bairagi ghar vasai. Live in this world, but be detached. Learn to be an actor in the world and real lover of the other world. Reverse the role. Right now you are the lover of this world and actor with that one. Change the role. You already know how to act, but you are acting with him. Start acting with the world. And start becoming sincere with that. Man bairagi ghar vase sach bhai rata hoye. Rat jana means to get completely filled with the real truth. Gyan maharas bhogve bahod pukh na hoye. Nanak ehe man myar mil bhi phir dukh na hoye. So if you get on the path of what? Gyan maharas bhogve. To get to that ultimate sensual pleasure, maharas. Today we have the ras of the skin or the eye or the ear or the nose or the lips or the tongue. He says, get to that ras. Tasting that energy, if you get to that, bahod pokhna hoy, then it will be transcending every kind of hunger. Nanak ehe man maar mil. It is this ego, till you do not transcend that, you cannot, if you transcend, phir dukh na hoye, then the life and death, the dukha, the pain of birth and death will not touch you. So, with that, we conclude today's talk. We have come to the 18th hymn, and we'll pick up from here in 2 weeks from today. So the message, as you can see, Today the language was of a businessman. Hey, are you investing wisely? What? Your breath, energy that has been given to you. Or you are investing it only some positive and some negative? Are you investing your breath anywhere into the meditative world as well? If you are desirous of transcending this plus minus type of life, then you need to change your model. So may He grant us the courage and the strength to pick up that baton and run in that direction in which Guru is constantly motivating us. Thank you for all of you for coming, and we'll meet hopefully in 2 weeks. So we'll open for any questions, discussion.